Well, so I just did like initial drawings and sketches that were inspired by, this idea to make a realistic looking invented primate, like an undiscovered primate. So I'm looking at like Chinese stump-nosed gold monkeys and lemurs and tarsiers and making sketches on those and sending those to John Nolan's team and his 3D modelers. And we do this initial prototype puppet, those years before being greenlit, that's just like a naked, furless thing with no animatronic face movement. But we cast all our puppeteers at that point. We bring in our primate choreographer, this incredible legend who's been in all the 8 movies, and we start working on it then in this kind of ugly, hairless mode. And then I wouldn't say the design ever really changed. It was more just like layering on the details. So then like we had like this legendary fur designer who did like all the labyrinth fur and stuff, and she's doing, painstaking hand-stitched fur on the eventual final puppet, and then our, designer, our animatronics designer is finally getting, post-greenlight, the money to, he had just done Jurassic World, and now he's gonna take all the gears that he could put in a giant dinosaur, he's gotta put it down into a grapefruit, and so it's just like, this is like a 30-pound dense rock of gears and servos and wires that he's condensed to make Baby Ochi's face. So yeah, it's just, it's more iterative, but it still looks just like the first drawing, basically.
Yeah. And how many puppeteers did it take to operate?
So Baby Ochi is 5 people on the body and 2 on the face. So there's 1 on each limb, and then there's a head puppeteer, and the head puppeteer, he's like, he's who got the job, and then he got to bring everyone else. He's the the legend, Rob Tigner. He's the actor, and he's quarterbacking the whole group, and he's sort of verbalizing the internal monologue of Baby Ochi in every scene. So, because if he can talk through what he's thinking, then everyone else syncs up to what he's saying, and so he'd be like, oh, what's that? Oh, pick up that. Oh, and then he does all the calls, and then the remote control operators, who actually Carl, who designed all those gears, he's the one operating the face, one of them, and he's got to sync up to exactly every little thought that Rob has. So it was like, I would say the biggest thrill was seeing like the best actor in the world, Willem Dafoe, against 7 puppeteers becoming something that could match him, and he agreed that he had a scene partner, that it wasn't just silly, because he went in a little bit skeptical. He's like, this is the opposite of his theory of what acting is, and but he actually, by the end of it, was like, the proof is in the pudding. I was playing off the creature. I felt I was in there, and all the intention of the 7 people was like so present and boiled down into this thing. So.
Now, you mentioned that at some point in the writing process, you started to kind of fixate on Dafoe as the guy for this, even though you didn't know him, you didn't know if you'd ever be able to get to him. And at what point did you start to see him as this guy, and how did that kind of help shape the character?
Yeah, I was about halfway through writing, and I didn't quite have an actor yet. I was thinking maybe Ray Fiennes. I had like the voice of Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood, like helping me in my head. And then when I realized it was Willem, it was like an epiphany. And then I could conjure Willem, and then Willem helped me write the character. And because Willem has this superpower of being like extremely terrifying and extremely cute at the same time. And he waffles actually. The way he can dial it back and forth, like he has this incredible command. And so then I'm writing to those skills, and I don't know if he's going to do it. But it was a leap of faith, and then I wrote him a letter, had the script, had all this 3 years of development stuff to just dump on him, and kind of like, I dare you to say no, look, it's all there for you. And he said yes right away, so that was what got us the green light, and then we cast everyone else within like a couple days, and then we're taking the movie.
So did you cast him before Emily Watson?
Yeah, but just by like a day. It was like, I knew her at the same time, years before too. It was, I think initially I was writing for Bjork, because she and I were friends. I made a video for her, and then she was hesitant, and I always was like, the only other person was Emily Watson, and they both just have this like heart of gold, like, but like a edge, and like, yeah. So, and I feel like you can't, like, you can fake being an asshole, but you can't fake having a heart of gold, and so I needed her, and yeah, so that was key.
And I had, read somewhere, heard somewhere you mentioning that like Defoe, in a way almost like helped you as a director, like not just in terms of his performance, to help you think about how to actually direct scenes and stuff. What kinds of stuff did you learn from working with him?
The first thing was like the first time we did a big scene with a bunch of people, he started yelling at me because I, as he said, I like cannibalized the master, which was essentially like, I didn't really want the master. I knew it was like the first and the end, like just like, it was not where the scene was gonna live. And so I'm, quick to move on. It's like 2 takes, let's move in, and then I'll figure out really what the scene is, because I can't see it back here. Little did I know, he had been shaping his whole performance just in the few rehearsals and then in those 2 takes of the master, and it was like now in his DNA. And so then when I was in this down closer, and now I'm like, well, what if we did it like this? What if we did it like this? Now I can see what it should be. And he's like, I can't do it like that. I'm like a theater performer, And so I learned now, okay, this is how Willem likes to do it. Let's make sure we've shaped the whole thing, and then I'm going to do my coverage without kind of interrupting him, and because he's so focused. It's like I've never seen anyone like work themselves up into the level of focus he has. So that was a huge learning thing. And then there was another scene where it was like the bedroom scene where he comes in and finds the knife and the note and the blood on the floor and plays the black metal, and we had like 45 minutes or an hour or something to shoot that entire thing at the end of the day, and it's just not enough time. And so it's essentially just like me and the DP and him in this little space, and he's basically becomes a co-director. He's like, okay, you put the camera down here and I can do this, and then what if we do that, and what if we do that, and it all became kind of light and fun, and I realized like, he's always been married to a director. That's his thing, and he is a director. He's just directing himself the entire time, and it was cool to learn from him. Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I want to ask about the music, because just watching the end of it again here, the music, the score of this thing is just fantastic. And so I'm curious, what kind of conversations you had with your composer, what you were looking for from him in terms of the score.
So Dave Longstreth of Dirty Projectors was the first person I brought onto the project, like even before I started writing, when it was just an idea. And the idea was a diegetic musical in which music is central to the theme and meaning of the movie, and therefore it is also, all these scenes are being expressed through music that's integrated and grounded into the film. So it's not like a musical where it stops and everyone hands it up, but like people are being musical in the film, and there's still a lot of that in there. People are constantly singing and playing flutes and doing things in the film. But there was even more in the beginning, and that was really exciting to both of us. And then as we started talking, so he did have to write, tremendous amount of stuff that was on camera. All this pop song that turns into an OCHI song, all that stuff. And then when it came time to score, it was really like, we were trying to integrate all of this Eastern European, ethnomusicology, the real Romanian pan flute master that we got in the score, and the music of the region, of the Carpathian Mountains, with kind of a grand modernist overscore that was like Fantasia, where it could be big and on top, and you could tell the story with it. And so I knew Dave was capable of this. I'd heard all his like symphonic experiments and stuff, and a lot of stuff he'd written over the years as scraps made it into the film. And he worked on the score for like 2 or 3 years. So it was it was also just a huge labor of love for him.
Yeah, well, all the time and effort you put into it really paid off. It's a really beautiful movie, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about it.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you for coming. And our movie's a little, it's a tiny little movie, and it's trying to find its feet. So please, tell your friends to come and go rate it on the internet and do all the things. Please help us. Thank you.